talk. Yep. Okay. So, hello ladies. Welcome to my very first interview in my series of interviews supporting women over 50 to have a loving living life. I'm a life directions planner and I specialise in transition to retirement planning done differently, not all about the money. And I'm hoping these interviews will be uplifting and inspiring for you, I'm sure. I'd like you to meet my first interviewee, Nan Berrett, and I acknowledge that she has been a great supporter of my new biz and of mature women in biz generally. I'll let you know a bit about Nan and why she is who she is and knows what she knows. Nan is the founder and silverpreneur of the business Word Solutions. Nan retired from her full-time role as a regional journalist almost 10 years ago and accidentally fell into starting her own business when she should perhaps have been thinking about retirement, and we'll ask her a question about that. Nan is based in the Clare Valley with clients all over Australia, and she is passionate about supporting business startups as well as those who have been running their enterprise for a while but are keen to scale up. She has particular interest in supporting older women in their business journeys, probably because she is one and we're both one. An award-winning former journalist, Nan now provides business support for most aspects of small business marketing and development, including mentoring. Word Solutions provides a media release service, website content, social media training and management, report writing, brochure content, consulting, meeting facilitation, and more. She has helped local government organisations, medium-sized businesses and sole traders, ranging from those in the agricultural sector to the arts. After a career in public relations, marketing and event management in Adelaide, Nan moved to the Clare Valley, where she worked as a rural journalist for 23 years before starting her own enterprise nearly a decade ago. When she left her role as a journalist and started on a new path, Nan found she had a flair for helping entrepreneurial business owners achieve their goals, while still maintaining her passion for writing and for sharing her knowledge. She has always had a passion for small business and loves being involved in building enterprises. She was the owner of an art gallery in Adelaide, Unley, and has run several small businesses over the years. So welcome to our tribe, Nan. It is lovely that you can join us. Thank you.
Thanks, Susanna. It's lovely to be here.
That's good. So my question to start the conversation, Nan, is how can what you know and what you have experienced support women over 50 to have a loving living life moving forward? Over to you.
I think that the information that everybody knows in the back of their minds about their lives and how they've held their lives until they get towards a retirement age starts to inform them as to what they think they want to do when they actually leave the workforce. I think we talk retirement mostly when we're talking about women who've been in a job in the workforce, although retirement spans a lot of activities, including working at home for the family or with the family, in the family. And when we get to a certain age, we start looking at ways that we can enjoy ourselves that isn't revolving around annual leave and public holidays and weekends. And so I think women who transition into the thoughts of retirement are going to be having a bit of a hard time working out exactly what it is they're going to do with extra time in their lives when they haven't been used to having extra time.
Absolutely. And being home with their partner too after they've been doing separate careers and then all of a sudden they're living together, which is another realm of life stage to take into account.
It is. I don't think we actually recognise that. We're used to, especially if it doesn't really matter if you've been working out of your home, but if your partner's been working away from the home environment and you've only seen him after hours and at weekends and holidays, people kind of are on their kind of different behaviour. And when you're 9 till 5 with someone as well as those extra hours outside, you start thinking that maybe you don't have as much in common as you thought you did.
Yes, and that's not a good thing leading into retirement when you're going to spend more time together.
Yeah, so it's not just us we have to think about, it's how we're going to mesh with our partners.
Yes, yes. And we seem to do most of that thinking, I think. Not sure, but I think. So the next question I'd like to ask you is, why did you think you should have been moving into retirement as a first thought when you left work? Because you made that statement.
Yeah, I did. I said I started work when I perhaps should have been retired, and the reason I said that is because that's what everybody thought I should be doing. It's kind of a societal norm. You get to a certain age, you leave work, and everybody says, "Oh, what are you going to do in your retirement?" They don't anticipate that you're going to be doing anything more dynamic than joining the bowls club. Yes. And so I actually didn't have any thoughts going forward when I was planning to leave work. I made a decision to leave my job probably a couple of years before the official mandated government retirement age, because my husband was old enough to retire and he left his workplace. And I thought, oh, we could do this together. And to be honest, I love my job, but I didn't enjoy my workplace. And so it was kind of a nice way of exiting the workplace. And I thought, oh, look, I'll knit and read. I love reading. I'll knit or read, whatever. And I'm not sure what I want to do. And I wasn't feeling particularly valued when I left work. And I wasn't thinking I was particularly valued after that either. I didn't look at anything of value. And it was just an accident that when I flagged that I was leaving work, my local council CEO actually offered me some casual work doing media for my local government area. Yeah. And I thought, oh, that's really interesting. I hadn't even thought of doing something like that. And then one thing led to another, and suddenly I had a small business. Meanwhile, my friends and especially one of my neighbours came to visit and gave me the whole lecture. You must not make any decisions about what you're going to do when you retire. Join the bowls club with me. I could make that decision. That was okay. But
because your brain wasn't working anymore, so you must not make any decisions.
Well, I think that was it, really. And she said, just don't do anything. Just, have the break. And I thought, well, actually, I don't want the break. I don't feel that I'm ready for the break, or sitting at home doing not too much. So starting my own business was fantastic. And what was really good was that I was able to use my brain to expand my skills. There were a few things I had to learn that I hadn't really been exposed to. I learned a lot, and I did a lot of business courses, and just expanded my knowledge base and did a lot of networking and met other women that were doing similar things to me, which was quite good and made me feel good. And all of a sudden I felt valued and felt like I had a voice.
Isn't that funny? Because when you talk about validation, the one thing about retirement is that seems to cause people angst is they don't have that validation anymore that they get in the workplace. And it's interesting that you said that you got it after you stood on your own 2 feet. And so that is something different, because it's generally the other way around. And that's what they say for people that are in retirement. They become a nobody anymore, and they aren't valuable or validated. So that's really good for you that you found your validation afterwards. So that's wonderful.
Well, it's kind of, I had a kind of strange environment too. I didn't get on with my boss. He didn't like me. He put obstacles in my path all the time. I was really good at my work. I was a rural journalist and won a number of awards. I was respected by my peers, well known in the community, but I didn't feel particularly validated because I guess I was always looking to the authority figure, which was my boss. And that just goes back to my background growing up, you know, in the UK with authority figures being really important parts of my life, and you always did what you were told, so that when your close authority figure, like, you know, your employer, doesn't actually validate you, I think that just flows down in the way you feel about yourself and your self-worth.
Do you think,
yeah.
I don't know your situation, but do you think you might have been an older woman and older than your boss? Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, and that, is quite difficult because you probably tipped over that age where you actually knew stuff and went into, you know, the older lady that didn't know stuff, or he came along a bit later and just brought his presumptions with him, hadn't been with you long enough to know that you actually, you know, we shouldn't have
I was threatening to him. I think that was the outcome for that particular thing. And I think, you know, I don't look for personal validation particularly, but I just like to know that people sort of respect what I do and my work. And I just found that having control over my life, not having to sort of ask permission for anything or look to someone else for validation now, I don't need it anymore. I just need to, you know, do what I do and, you know, be happy with my own outcomes. And I think that's one of the good things about retirement working, if you like, that we actually are more in control of our own journeys now.
Absolutely. Yes.
Best fun I've ever had.
Oh, that's really good. That's what I like to hear. Absolutely. I'm just thinking too, when you were talking about the younger people coming through, transitioning and going into retirement, I guess they'll say they'll never stop working, they'll always work and everything will be happy. But how, because they don't look at, they may not, I'm generalizing, they may not look at their boss the same way as what we did, that they were the boss, they were the people that paid us, and we took our commands from them. Whereas these days, the younger people are more, they don't stay in the job long as well, and they think everyone in the team is more of a peer. So I'm wondering how this is going to affect how people are going to retire and what they think of validation and all those sorts of things that may be totally different to what we have experienced.
Look, I don't know that it'll change much. I think the mindset needs to change just in general, that we have to realise that we can still continue to do things after retirement, but that we choose to do them on our own terms now.
Yes.
So instead of someone leaving their workplace at retirement age and, you know, instead of them having to answer to a boss or an employer or a corporation, they can answer to themselves, and they become more flexible. There's things that I can do now that I work for myself, and I gather my income for myself and by myself. But I can choose how to spend it. I can choose what days I work, when I work. I mean, within limitations. Yes. You know, sometimes clients dictate certain things, but I can travel. I can go to other places and work from you know, other towns around South Australia. I travel around to South Australia mostly to see clients, and I can do that easily. I can decide to have days off. I can do lots more flexible things. You know, if I wanted to, I could play bowls.
Yes.
And still do my work. I go into my office and I work from 6 o'clock until midnight if I want to, and get work done, and then I can have the day off and go and have lunch with a friend. So it's that kind of flexibility that marks that transition that we make if we choose to do actual work and start our own businesses. But within that I think there's a real need, and I'm going to give you a plug here, Susanna, but for services like yours, where where people can talk out how they can transition into retirement, still do what they love to do, which in my case just happens to be working in my own business, but also work out how they can fit all those things, that those ideal retirement elements around still doing what they love, which is, running their own business.
Yes. And through the internet, there is so much support for women that have come out of a career or something else, and they've got transferable skills. And now with the internet, there's so much support out there with groups and individual people helping through groups, or like yourself, or even the government. There's so much more scope for them to start a small business and get the support than there was before. So I think it's wonderful. Someone was telling me about a lady who's a teacher, and she's about ready to retire because I guess the government says so, and she's got that age, and the friend said she's absolutely lost. She's dreading the day she retires, and she doesn't have any idea what she's going to do. And I think, oh my goodness, like those are scary stories, and we don't want to hear them, because there is so much support out there for, helping her get through that. Not only me, but financial, legal, hobbies or whatever. Try something new, but not to have anything, no doors to open. Yeah, I think it's pretty hard, but yes, there's lots of help out there, ladies. Now, next question. What advice did you get, and what did you take when you prepared to leave your full-time job?
Well, I didn't actually seek advice, which was probably really foolish, and I think I should have, just to get my head around what was going to be happening. I think people who do decide to, especially when I left work a couple of years prior to the actual official retirement age, so I ended up unemployed. So, we didn't have much money, so I went on Centrelink, and that was interesting. So just those kinds of bits of advice would have been really useful, how to navigate government departments and work through those kinds of things. The advice I got when I told people I was retiring I didn't really get advice. It was more like, oh, do you want to come and join the book club, or join this or join that? It was a lot of joining offers for, now you're going to be free. A lot of them were based around my skills at the time, which were mainly in journalism. And so they wanted me to be on their committees, to write their media releases and do their social media and stuff like that.
Be their secretary.
Yeah, that's it. That's the thing. And so there was a lot of that kind of stuff. And I think people need to be aware that when they flag they're going to be leaving a job, they'll be in demand for the type of work that they did, or to go on committees, because people are always looking for committee members. Yeah. And if there's any advice, it's for me to say to them, wait. If you're passionate about something, sure, join in, and it's a good way to keep in touch with people and be social. But if you're not passionate, don't just join. Don't feel flattered because they've asked you. The reason they've asked you is because you actually happen to be free and you've got skills they want. Yes. Not because they want you in particular. And I know that sounds harsh, but it's actually true. So don't jump at everything that's offered to you. And the advice that I didn't take was to join the bowls club and do nothing. So that was pretty well it. But otherwise, people were quite supportive of me leaving my work. But I think they were mostly wanting to know what was in it for them and what could I do for them now I was finished with work.
Because I think the point is too that volunteer groups are getting more and more desperate for volunteers, because more women are working. And I'll say women because, the sports groups and all that have trouble with getting younger women to help like they used to with the cake stalls and everything, because everyone's out working. Well, more people are out working. Did you know that you would have to go on to Centrelink and go on the benefits before you left, or because
I did.
Oh, you did, because some of the women
I did.
didn't. because their husband was retired, and so they thought that they'd somehow get the pension, and they stopped working and moved to the country, and they have to do a few years of Centrelink, 15 hours of volunteer work. So yeah, it's probably good to get some legal advice and some financial advice to help with that. So yeah.
What happened with us is we were older when superannuation became a thing. So we didn't have those many years of super that a lot of other people did. Then we were also a participant in that superannuation crash where everybody lost so much of their super, and we ended up not having a lot in super. And so what we actually did was we'd had a couple of stumbling blocks through our lives financially, and we ended up when we moved to the Clare Valley, we ended up buying the house we live in now on a mortgage. So when we actually retired from work, we cashed in our super and we paid off our mortgage.
Yeah.
And we paid off any other smaller sort of debts that we had circling around, and we ended up retiring debt free. So we owed nothing.
Yes.
But we also had nothing apart from our house, which is fine, is something. So my husband had the pension and I applied for Centrelink. And then as time went on, my Centrelink was supposed to transition to the pension, but then I was earning, so I didn't have to do that. So independent again, so it's really good.
Excellent. And able to go out and buy some extras that maybe you wouldn't have had to be able to buy being on Centrelink. Yeah.
Oh, look, I earn more now. That's horrible to say, but I earn more now than I did when I was employed. Mind you, I've been out of the workforce, like the paid workforce, for 10 years. But and because I work in the sort of kind of the media industry, and do a lot of research and I use a lot of stationery, I'm able to indulge in my hobby as a tax-free option. A tax offset for all the stationery and newspapers I buy, which is fantastic.
Yes. And you've got all the coloured post-it notes you need and all the stars in the heart.
Look, exactly. I just love stationery. And it also, like, because you work for yourself, there's a lot of benefits. Like anybody who works from themselves, when you have expenses, I travel, my fuel's an expense, so is any accommodation I have, and I don't look at that as a hardship, because I really enjoy traveling, meeting new people and going around the place. So it's really good.
And you're doing a series of talks to the Women in Business Rural Network as you've been going around the state to do some of those. So that's excellent, and meeting new people and going on a little holiday attached to it as well, and taking the dog.
Looks fantastic. We're going off. My husband comes, we take the caravan, it's all a business expense. I'm going off to Murray Bridge this weekend, then we're going to Victor Harbour, then we're going to Mount Barker. So it's a nice little few days away, and it's something we can do together, and the dog comes, and so it's just wonderful.
The dog thinks it's good.
The dog loves it.
That's good. Now, next question on my little list is why. I'm not sure that you've covered this anyway. Why did you start a business? I don't know whether you've got anything more to add to what you've already said.
Oh, look, I've run or co-owned several small businesses over time, and I really like. I'm really interested in how small businesses operate and how they run. So it was quite a nice transition for me to run my own business. I had quite a bit of background, so that did help me sort of build sort of the back end of my business, if you like. But that was sort of mainly the reason why I started my own business too, that I was happy to go into that, because I'd had a little bit of practice.
Yes.
Beforehand, we had a health food shop for a while that we operated, even though we still worked full time. We had employees to run it for us. So I've had bricks and mortar establishments and an art gallery, and I was a really good direct sales consultant back in the day when Tupperware and Avon were good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you've got a really good background too about for all the clients you serve that come from different sectors, because you've been in that one yourself.
Exactly.
Which perhaps a lot of other people haven't. They come from a bookkeeping background or something or other and got into social media as well. And I think because you have a broad range of experience, it really does bring to your business your skills and experience from way back, which we never think about. I don't know, transferable skills was a new thing for me when even your own self skills like, compassion or empathy or different things like that you bring into your business, but you don't even think you bring into your business.
Look, I agree. There's a lot of women especially who are afraid to start anything for themselves, like in business, because they think they don't have any skills. But you don't even have to be in a workplace to accumulate skills over a lifetime. If you've ever managed a home, if you've actually worked out timetables to send kids to school and pack school lunches, worked on school committees, been on various not-for-profit groups or volunteering groups, if you've done your own shopping and your budgeting and worked out how much you can spend this week on meat, if you've done any of that stuff, then you've got all the skills that you can transfer into running your own business.
Absolutely. So ladies, transferable skills are the new thing moving into retirement. What kind of support would you have liked to transition from full-time work to working for yourself and moving into retirement? So what kind of support would you have liked?
I think I would have liked the support for someone to be able to talk me through the options of how I can manage running a business and still doing some of those things that people expect to do when they retire. So I hadn't actually been used to having long holidays. I hadn't even thought about how I would manage my house and still do my work. And it's taken me a long time to actually work out how that my husband's kind enough to do most of the housework and I don't do a lot of it anymore. So we balance that really well. He does all the outside work and all any construction and building and stuff and car maintenance and whatever is needed there. I've just recently discovered pre-prepared meals from a business in the Barossa who delivers to where I live in the Clare Valley. And so 4 nights a week we have pre-prepared meals that I don't have to worry about cooking, which is just fantastic. So just sort of having someone to talk through how I can manage running the things I do and not to feel guilty doing it either.
Yes, that's exactly right, because yes, I have down the track, I wouldn't mind having a cleaner or something like that. So because I'd rather do this than do my cleaning, and so that's where I would like to go. But I think there is a lot of guilt around that because conservative parents and parents-in-law and conservative life for me, it's hard to get that thinking that you can. If you want to do this, you don't have to do that, and that there's plenty of support out there to do that and to go for it, because I think that, and aren't we over cooking and cleaning?
I'll say they've never been my favorite thing.
No.
And it's just to get someone else to cook meals for me is just my ideal environment. Like that's my dream. And so now I've managed it. And so I think you need to figure out what it is you want that will help you. And a cleaner is certainly still top of my list. We haven't gone there yet, but
even just to do the floors in the bathrooms.
Exactly. Change the sheets.
Yes, you can easily put those things off. That's the problem. I mean, you've got to make a meal or get a meal somehow, because that's the time of the day and you've got to do it. But the floors, you can easily put them off.
Oh, no, I know.
So your work-life balance now sounds pretty good from what you've
it's getting better. It wasn't, and that was another thing I probably would have needed advice on, is how to manage a decent work-life balance. Because to be honest, when you work, in retrospect, when you work full-time in a paid job for an employer, you actually have really rubbish work-life balance. It's really bad. There is no such thing. I mean, if people think they've got work-life balance, they are kidding themselves. You know, if they work at the time it takes them to get ready in the morning to go to work and then come home, wind down, start doing, you know, the household chores, getting meals on or whatever, whoever does it, whether it's the man or the woman, and then wrestling traffic to get to a job if you work in the city, then I think, you know, our work-life balance is a pretty crummy as employees. And then weekends are taken up. You might be able to do something social at the weekend, but mostly you do it as catch up to do your cleaning.
Yes, that's right. Absolutely right. And I mean, like you say, to get ready, and people are thinking that like a 3/4 of an hour or an hour to go to work and to come home is pretty normal these days because of the traffic and all the rest of it. And yes, you divide that by the income you're getting, it gives you a different picture for sure. And it's, when you think about it, it's like, I know we need it, but there's got to be another way to do work. And I think with COVID and all that sort of stuff, we're probably learning that now a bit more. More people being able to work from home, but you know, I'm not sure what work-life balance they're still achieving, especially if they've got school kids as well. But yeah, it's crazy that we spend so many hours doing the thing to get the dollar every day. All day.
Yeah, I agree. I think employers have found that with the COVID environment and people working from home, they're actually getting better results, better output from people who work at home. And I know that myself, I find that the working from home, I can actually stop my time clock when I'm working for a client, and I can go and put a load of washing on the line and then make a cup of coffee and then come back to the office and turn the time clock back on again. And that works really well for me. And I'm pretty sure that people working from home for an employer are doing much the same thing, but they're also ensuring that they get their work done. And there have been some studies on that output that people working from home are now actually producing more than they did when they worked in an office, because you're not doing that, you know, get up, go to the water cooler, have a chat with somebody, stop at a colleague's desk, talk about the weekend, show them a picture of your dog, all that sort of stuff. Well, you know, you don't do that when you're at home. And I know that takes away some of the social aspect of being a worker. But for an employer, you're probably getting more out of your workmen than you are if you had them in the office.
Absolutely. Yes, it's another subject. Work women, work people.
Yeah. Universal man.
Yes. Do you have an exit plan, and what do you hope to do in the future?
I don't really have a constructed exit plan, but I think about it. I'm 71, so I should be thinking about it, but I'm having a bit too much fun right now. And so in the long term, I'm looking at providing some more online resources that people can purchase from me, doing a lot more bulk type of activities where I do workshops with several people rather than even one-on-one. And so moving away from the low income sort of heavy workload jobs that I do. So I do a bit of book editing, and I still do that as because I quite like doing it, and because I have repeat clients I do it for. But it takes a long time, and it's probably one of the least financially rewarding of the things that I do. So I'd rather move away from one-on-one things to more, you know, things where I can get more money for less time. more bang for my buck. I know that
Yes,
sounds really
work smarter,
really awful, but yeah, and so by developing some online courses and that kind of thing, looking for a kind of weird passive income from doing that sort of stuff, then I can step back a bit more and not put as many hours in physically for my job.
So you do actually have an exit plan sort of in your head?
Yeah, it's just not really, it's not one I could implement tomorrow, put it that way.
Yeah. But, and making money is always good because you need them. That's the problem. And I mean, the government luckily will help us through. We shouldn't be homeless and we shouldn't be going without food or anything else. So we're extremely lucky and grateful for that. So that bit of extra money gives us more control and more choices. And
it does.
If you haven't got a family to back you up, or the family's away interstate, it definitely helps. Having that bit of money to get the services in that perhaps you wouldn't be able to afford if you didn't do these things. And if you are doing things that you enjoy, and there's a variety and you've got the balance, what could be better?
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we've come to the end of our conversation. I think we've gone a bit further than the time we thought we were going to. Is there anything else you'd like to say before I sign off, or you think that I've got it all out of your head?
Oh, look, just any advice for women who do plan to do a little bit of work after retirement, whether you want to change your hobby into a little bit of an income stream or you want to do something a bit further than that, there is a lot of help out there. So if you start looking, or you go to people like Susanna, or even me and other people like us who actually have some resources, they can put you in the right direction. There is help, so don't think that it's not possible to give things a try. And there's a lot of government help and a lot of help for no cost or low cost. Yes, absolutely. And that's been fantastic. And sometimes there's that thing in the back of your head that, that I've always wanted to do that, or my dad said I couldn't. And, now's the time to give it a go. If it's not the time now, well, when is it going to be really? Today is the best day to start, even to explore what there is to explore. Absolutely. I agree. I'm having my best third life, and I think you are too, Susanna. Yeah, so that's right. And we're not talking about nursing homes in this stage in our life at all. No, most of us won't go into a nursing home, so we still have a lot of enjoyment left to do. And if you want to sit there and read books and crochet or knit, and that's your contentment, go for it. We're not saying you have to start businesses, you have to not play golf or bowls. Goodness, be content in this next stage in your life, because that's what it's all about. And and keep healthy while you're doing it. Yeah, great advice. Thank you. So thank you, Nan, for your fabulous insights and support of women over 50. It's been lovely to hear your words. And if you have any questions about what Nan has talked about, or what I might have talked about, you can contact Nan through me or through her website, wordsolutions.com.au. Or I'll give you Nan's details at the end of the video, so you can contact her. And we're both really approachable. Neither of us eat anybody for breakfast at all. So not recently. No, not recently. Good. I'm glad to hear it. So feel quite free to contact us, even if you would like some support that we possibly can't give you. We can always find someone to refer you on to. So don't sit at home thinking, well, that's not a question for Susanna or Nan. It doesn't really matter. Either of us will not leave you hanging. We can refer you to a lot of lovely ladies we know in the groups that we're in. So
Thank you very much, Nan, and we will see
welcome.
you at the next group meeting. Thank you. See you next time.
Okay, bye.
Bye.